Alright, hello everyone. This is a brief rundown of what the fight's going to look like. The focus of this video and the guide is to highlight specific roles and what they're going to have to do during this fight. There are specific roles that have unique jobs, such as the priests who are mind controlling, the mages who are watching their ignite, and casters in general will have to manage their mana pools, as well as the tanks are going to have to manage the adds and their positioning when they're not being mind controlled. As well as myself going in as a rogue with evasion and what I have to do, the mind soothe and all of that. And also everyone in this raid, melee included, are going to have to understand when to dummy, where to dummy, when to stop dummying, if required, okay? So the reason that this matters is because this fight is very, very easy when things go right, but has a very high chance of that not happening. This fight, when done correctly, looks exactly like this. Right, so this is an overview from a healer's perspective, and I'll put it on 2x speed, but you can see quite easily that the boss is put into position. You can see the skull and the X ad are tanking it. You can see the square and the moon ad are sort of in here in this cluster. It doesn't really matter where. The main thing is that the ads are here ready to be used, and the ads are being tanked, or the boss is being tanked by the ads, and everyone is sort of on this side of the line, sort of getting ready to hide when necessary. Right, you see shield wall ends in 5 seconds, disrupting shout. All of the bobs went out, so if we go back just briefly, you'll notice that shield wall ends in 5 seconds, disrupting shout is in 5 seconds, and the bobs go out. This person has it, this person has it, couple don't. Okay, a couple seconds later, this person has it, this person has it, this person doesn't. The reason that this person doesn't have it is because they're the ignite. They have the, you can see this yellow sort of border around them, means they have the threat. Okay, so if this boss were to stop hitting the tank, or to stop hitting the understudy, it would immediately run to Len, this mage here, right? This mage doesn't have a bob, but appears to have used a lip because they don't have enough paladins, alright? So they have 6 mages and 4 paladins, which means minus this one, they do not have enough paladins to cover the entire mage core. What I suspect is happening is this mage here is going to lip the first shout and just dodge every other one because he doesn't have a bob, which is absolutely fine. We might have to do this in the future as well. So let's just keep watching. You'll notice that X is now tanking, and Skull, Moon, and Square are all open. This is the scary part, alright? If X were to break the mind control, which can happen just randomly, it's called a heartbeat, and you saw it last time we did this. If X were to heartbeat, the boss wouldn't run to a tank, it wouldn't kill anyone. What it would do is it would run to Len, who's miles away from now. Actually, he's here. Len hasn't moved yet because he knows he can run away in time, right? He knows if the boss starts running towards him, he can blink and run and swiftness spot and all that stuff, right? So he's confident, because they've done this a lot, that he can get away without having to already be far away. We're not going to be doing that, but yeah, this person, once the ignite is up, is going to just run. If this were to break, there is no mind control. What should happen is the person who was mind controlling Skull immediately mind control Square. We'll see how quickly that happens. And it hasn't happened yet, right? Now there's a mind control. It's actually on Moon, not Square. So they might do it in a different order to we do. But we would have mind controlled Square here. Again, it doesn't super matter, but the order is important so that people don't get confused. One of these mobs gets mind controlled, runs in. The taunt should be ending in 5 seconds. You can see that in this UI, you see 5 seconds remain on the taunt. So this person, which would be Heldrick for us, the first and third priest, would run in, taunt, and shield wall before this number ends, before it hits 0, okay? So you see the moon comes in, it runs to exactly where X is, and it taunts, right? And it overlapped, right? So if we go back, you'll notice this number never hits 0, right? It goes 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 20, all right? Leaving it to 2 seconds is fine. Leaving it any lower than that, I would say, is not fine. The mind control debuff lasts 60 seconds, the taunt lasts 20, meaning you could do this with 3 ads, not 4, right? It would be 20, 20, 20, that's 60 seconds. The overlap allows you to have a bit of leeway, arguably 5 seconds of leeway each time, right? If this fight lasted a lot longer, you would have to be a lot more stingy with the taunts, but you don't have to because the fight is very short, right? So just taunt early, there's no problem with that, okay? Square hasn't even been used yet. This thing is still ready to mind control. Skull is about to become available again, right? So you can see actually the aura under their buff. They won't have Skull because Skull is 40 seconds away, right? So they only have Square, and by the time Square is done, that's it. They're out of taunts. Right, so Moon is tanking. Alright, let's have a look at that. We saw 8, 7, 6, and at 6 they taunt, alright? So the Moon was tanking, now Square is tanking. and they taunted at 6 seconds. The reason they taunted early is the exact same reason we sacrifice Phalina ads early. They just don't need it anymore, right? They're just doing it early for the safety of it. And I agree, that's a good thing to do. If the boss is at like 10% and you've still got your taunt up, just send it at this point. Send it early. You don't need to send it at like 20 seconds. Just send it at like 6 or 5 or something like that, because it's fine. It'll cover it. Okay? But you see they had a very good pull. The boss didn't go loose. There were no heartbeats. You'll notice that the healing was fine. These people were safe the whole time. The boss was always line of sight. You notice the mana pool. Let's look at the mana pool of the raid the whole fight. Okay? You'll notice they start very low mana. A couple of them have higher mana, but they plan to burn that in time. Or lip. The mages who have higher mana aren't expecting to get hit by the first 2 shouts, because they're going to lip them and they're going to get bopped for them. So the mages have a little bit of leeway where they should be safe. Additionally, you'll notice that there's a warlock here with 11,000 health. They're probably fine at this much mana, but I still wouldn't risk it. I would still have a bit less than this, right? So Disrupting Shower happens, you notice no one gets hit by it, alright? They all line of sight. Well, a couple of people got hit. Let's have a look who got hit. It was this person, and I believe one from down here, right? Alright. It might not have been the warlocks, it might have just been life taps, but this person definitely got hit. You'll notice as a paladin with 8,700 health and half mana, just about under half, they get hit for no more than 1,000, alright? Barely 1,000. That's because they have armor. A paladin wearing full plate at half mana isn't going to die from a shout. You're still going to lose your mana, it's still going to get rid of it, and it's still going to hit you, but it's not going to kill you, okay? This person here with almost 11,000 health could have a full mana bar, and they wouldn't even get knocked below half, okay? The problem arises with the squishier people, the priests with 7,000 health. If this person had full mana, they just die. If this person had half mana, they could die. Depends how much armor they have. That's why Stone Shield is so important. That's why, Inner Fire is important. That's why a lot of armor things are important on this fight, okay? It's only if you get hit, okay? You shouldn't get hit. You'll notice only one person got hit there, maybe, unless the Warlocks got hit, but I can't tell. Could just be a life tap. The important thing is, they're all dodging it, right? Other than the mages who are getting bopped and lipping themselves, you notice the bops and the lips. See, this hunter even lips, right? They even have a hunter who uses lip, because why not? Alright, so that's the fight done properly. You'll notice the taunts are very good. I would argue that the mind controls being late is both a safety measure and a bit scary. Having the second priest already have the mob mind controlled is a benefit, because it means that the boss is, all you have to do is click taunt. Like if the mob heartbeats, all you have to do is click taunt. The downside is if you mind control early, that whole time you've got the mob mind control, it could heartbeat, right? So you're adding more risk every server tick that you've got the mob mind controlled, right? So you don't really want to mind control it for very long. But of course, you have to sort of find that sweet spot. Additionally, here is it done wrong. This is a clip in which the Disrupting Shout, you see the mind control works just fine here. They use a Invis Potion. Notice the priest in the bottom right is invisible. They walk up, they mind control, they shield wall, they taunt, or they taunt and then shield wall. Again, it doesn't really matter. Getting the boss under control is proper. All of these ads run towards the priest with the rejuve and all that stuff on it, or the mind control mob. And the tanks need to intercept immediately. If these mobs run and hit these priests, that's bad. So tanks, you need to act as a wall, standing between, so go back to this thing. As the mind control happens, the boss is going to be over here, okay? The priest will run in. Let's use this for the priest for now. The priest will run in, mind control this mob, and then immediately taunt the boss. So the boss will come, and then these two will go over here. What these mobs are going to do is they're all going to run down, okay? They might go this way, they might go this way. It doesn't really matter. It depends on threat. This mob here should immediately be mind controlled as a backup. If it's a bit late, it's not the end of the world, but the risk is that threat hasn't been established yet. The reason I want X mind controlled straight away is because if Skull breaks immediately, like it did last time, there is no mage on the threat table yet, meaning the boss is probably going to just start killing people. Now, I'm going to run in and try and stop that from happening, so on the pull, if the mind control resists, I come in, I tank him, I keep him still for a bit, and then Haldrick or somebody else or Honk, somebody will come, taunt off me, put him in position, and I'll vanish and leave. Right? I shouldn't be required to take any hits, through evasion or otherwise, but if it does happen, it should only be for a second while the mind controls are figured out, okay? So in an ideal circumstance, the mind control happens, moves the boss in a position, these ads come down. As these ads come down, Honk will mind control and just put the ad right on top of Haldrick, okay? You wait for the taunt to about to run out, so that'll be 2 seconds left, right? So, you know, you wait for this to hit very low, hits 2 seconds, boom, there's the taunt, alright? Taunt happens, this person immediately, upon the taunt happening, immediately Haldrick drops his mind control, okay? As he drops the mind control, this thing is going to hunt him down, meaning the tank who is assigned to that mob, which I believe is, let's have a look. Razuvious, Tank, Skull, Shap. So, in this instance, it would be Shap, who would immediately, whatever he was doing, would come in, taunt this, and just bring it over here, okay? Where these other mobs would be, right? So by this point, all of the mobs should be somewhere around here, right? Being tanked by their tanks, okay? The second Haldrick breaks his Skull mind control, he has a choice. He could immediately mind control Square, or like in the video, you could see, he could wait a bit, alright? Like I said, the downsides are if this heart beats, the boss is going to go haywire and start running and trying to kill the mage over here, okay? But, of course, if he mind controls early, it could heartbeat early, which would then put us in a really precarious position. It wouldn't be deadly, it would just mean we'd have to reset or maybe push more damage so that we didn't run out of taunts, but it would be not ideal. So Haldrick will give it a couple seconds, taunt the mob, run over here and wait, again, for the 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, taunt, and then Honk would drop her mob. Honk would deliver it. It would deliver itself to Honk because it wants to kill her because it was mind controlled. Drac would intercept it, bring it back over here, okay? So Square comes in, taunts, X leaves, gets picked up by Drac. Moon is now the only one left, which means Honk would be standing here. She has her target, she knows Moon is next, so she brings Moon over, and by the time Square has run out of its taunt, Moon taunts, alright? So Honk would command Moon to taunt, and then this mob would basically be dead by then, alright? Is the ideal scenario. Now what happens if this doesn't happen? What happens in the non-ideal scenario, alright? So let's put the mobs back over here, and let's assume that we go back to the beginning, right? So let's move this. So here is what happens when it doesn't go right. Let me open it up. This video is posted in the Diagrams and Resources channel under video 1, alright? So if you've ever gone to school before, it's all notated. Alright, so let's watch the failed pull. So on pull, you can see they do the exact same thing. They have a priest who's stealthed, he mind controls, taunt, shield wall, puts him in position. Again, it hasn't heartbeat yet, which means it's good. X still isn't mind controlled yet. You can see the tanks are taunting. It's important that the tanks get these mobs away from Razuvious. Tanks, you do not want to be tanking these understudies right next to Razuvious, and the reason for that is you might be generating passive threat. If you generate threat, and Razuvious breaks off the heartbeat, and he's not highest target on the mage, he will just kill you. When you Frost Nova a mob, and you stand next to it, it doesn't matter who's on the threat table anymore, he's going to hit you, okay? So tanks, it's kind of like that. Keep 10 yards away from Razuvious at all times if you're doing anything regarding threat. Do not fuck with him. Do not think, I'll just lip taunt him, or don't think, I'll just taunt this mob off. Like, let's say there was an understudy still under the boss. Don't fucking taunt it off, because if you do, and this heart beats as you do it, Razuvious is going to hit you, okay? Probably. It can happen. Alright? And that is what happened in that other video that I posted. So let's watch. So X gets mind controlled immediately. I mean, it's not immediate, but eventually X gets mind controlled. Well, this would be Honk. She runs in, stands next to it, waits, and there's the taunt. You see? Go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay, they taunted at 4 this time, alright? So it was a bit earlier than usual. They taunted 4 seconds, and then Skull gets dropped. Alright, so Skull gets dropped. You can see just at the end here, Skull, it runs away first, and then it drops. So the mind control priest is helping move the mob to the tanks. Now you've got Skull, Moon, and Square here. The next mob going in would be Square. This would be Haldrick, mind controlling Square and bringing it over. But what happens? You can notice Len here has an 83k threat lead, right? He's 50k above the next person, 60k almost. So he's fine. He's got all the threat in the world. He could leave now if he wanted to, but he's being greedy, which is fine. You notice immediately upon seeing this aggro, he runs. He knows the boss is coming for him. But what happens? When heartbeat happens, because currently Moon was tanking, alright? So X had finished its job, Moon was tanking. They do Moon before Square, but we're not going to do that. Moon was tanking. Moon heartbeat pretty much immediately, alright? That's bad, but it's not the end of the world. Square is going to pick up the boss when it can, because there's none left. You can't mind control Skull anymore. You can't mind control X anymore. Moon just heartbeat, which means you can't mind control it. Square's the only thing left that could taunt this boss. But we can buy time, alright? And this is what the dummies are for. So if you're a melee DPS or a caster or whatever the fuck you are, first thing you need to determine is it safe? Disrupting Shout is in 12 seconds, meaning you're not in danger of getting one shot yet. Let's say you had full mana, for some reason you shouldn't have full mana, but let's say you did, and the Disrupting Shout was happening in 2 seconds. You shouldn't go and try and drop a dummy, because he's going to shout point blank and you're going to die, okay? Make sure it's safe to do so, and then drop dummies. The dummies will keep the boss still for a bit, but they won't rip threat off the mage, meaning Len can run away, and the dummies, you can see he's killing dummies right now. He's killing Masterwork, Advanced, Masterwork, he's killing a bunch of stuff. He targeted the mage for a bit, then he targeted a dummy again. So he's cycling through. Right? He still hasn't found the... They still haven't taunted him, alright? So for whatever reason, Square couldn't pick up the boss. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, the priest who was in charge of mind controlling Square and taunting when Moon heartbeat didn't get it. Which is fine. In our example, this would be KJ or Magi. KJ in this example would just run up the hill and reset him. You notice that's exactly what we did last time. He runs up the hill. Basically, once the boss gets to here, he's not salvageable anymore. If the boss gets to here, he's too far. You can't really pull him back in a position anymore. It's too far. Disrupting Shout would just kill people. It's just too dangerous. So once he gets to here, it's pretty much over. Stop dropping dummies. Let him go. Okay? Let him run away and let him reset. Until he gets to this point, however, it's all hands on deck. You need to keep him in this arena at all times. Alright, so the dummies just need to keep him locked. Once, let's say Square did get mind controlled here. Let's say the priest successfully mind controls Square and does get the taunt off. If the taunt does go through successfully, you need to stop dropping dummies because the dummies will fuck it up. So you need to be very careful. You need to be quick on dropping the dummies, but you need to be careful not to keep dropping them once the situation solved itself, okay? So you notice? They drop all the dummies, but if Square had picked up the boss, you would stop dropping them, and this would be fine. This would be a salvage pull. The mage would just keep sitting out here to the end of the fight, and it would be absolutely fine. And you'll notice it is what they do on the next pull, right? So they go again. Again, there's no risk at all. They burn all their mana. Right. There's the mind control. They start with Skull. The tanks taunt out these mobs. X is immediate mind control. Actually, you can notice X gets mind control way faster here, okay? So X is here and it's mind controlled. It was way faster on the mind control than X this time, alright? So Skull runs out. 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay, they taunt at 3. X has aggro. They drop Skull. This time the mage leaves early, but at this point, X is tanking. X is tanking. And then for them, it would be Moon next. So this would be Moon, but for us it would be Square. Now Moon is tanking. They would drop off X, and they would mind control the other one. And now Moon, or for us, Square, would taunt here. And then they would drop the mind control. At this point, 3 of the mobs are mind controlled, and only 1 is left, alright? This is tricky, because there's only 1 priest who can mind control anything, which would be the last mob for us, which would be Moon. If this Moon were to heartbeat at the boss with 14% left, there's not much you could do. There's no priest left who could taunt. You would just drop dummies and try to finish the boss, but it's very dangerous, right? So it's super, super dangerous to try and hit the boss while it's hitting dummies, because it could just go to you next. I know that the mage is on top, but that's just not how threat works, okay, on dummies. So you need to keep that in mind. If the boss is at like 10% and our last understudy heartbeats, very dangerous. Okay. So let's go back to the overview. So you should all know what you're doing on pull, right? So tanks, you'll all be running in. So let's reset the position of everything here. Right, so Moon will be over here, Square will be over here, X will be over here, Boss will be somewhere around here, and Skull will be here, right? So if you don't know where you're supposed to be, this is basically it, alright? So on pull, we'll all be around here. It will go 3, 3, 2, 1, mind control. I will sprint in, mind control will happen. If this person does not intercept correctly, I will take aggro, but let's assume it does intercept correctly. He'll position the boss, right? And then I will just go back to doing my thing. The melee will run in, and you'll wait a second, okay? You cannot overtake on threat here, melee. You must wait a little bit, just do white hits, generate some rage. I don't care what the fuck you do. Max melee, 180 degrees, just stand right here, melee, and do your thing. thing you need to note is that standing a little bit to this side is actually probably a good idea, because when the boss breaks, he's going to run this way. If you're over here, and the boss runs here, you're not going to be able to drop dummies, alright? Dropping dummies here isn't going to fucking do anything, because he's over here now. So it's very important that melee, you probably should sort of attack him from this angle, alright? This side. That way when dummies happen, he passes through you, you could probably keep him still for a bit, okay? Now, all of these mobs are going to run in. X gets mind controlled, pulled over, and taunts. And what needs to happen, by the way, is as Skull runs in, let's go back to here. As Skull and X run in, the two bears who are assigned to tank them need to be coming in and acting as a wall, okay? You need to be standing here. Because if these break immediately, like they did last time, I can handle the boss, I can keep him still, but I can't handle these guys. These guys are going to run straight here and start hitting the priest, right? So you just need to act as a wall, hold on to it, and deal with that, okay? But hopefully, it should be fine. If I have to tank the boss for a bit, then X will come in and just tank off me, okay? So it'll just be X first instead of Skull first. It's nothing different. It's just unfortunate if this happens again. It's whatever. So let's assume Skull handles it, alright? So I go into position, X gets mind controlled, goes over here. These tanks just wait, right? So these two tanks just wait now. Like, in an ideal world, you could do some damage, but really, just kind of wait. These two mobs will come in, they'll get intercepted by the two other tanks that we have assigned. And then this will be the fight. I mean, this is the opening, right? So this mage will cast first. On our assignment, currently, it says KJ turret. It might remain that, it might not. So KJ casts the first fireball, it lands, it crits, and then as his fireball is midair, every other mage should be casting theirs. Mages, you want to kind of find this line of sight angle, alright? Remember on the image that I showed you in diagrams and resources? I'll open this here. Alright, so you see on this image, there's like a line between the boss and this wall. So you need to be able to hit the boss and line of sight. Now, luckily for you mages, you'll be able to dodge these first two disrupting shots. The paladins will bop you, alright? The paladins will be standing somewhere over here. They might be standing over here to heal the dummy, the mind control ad. But the paladins will be somewhere in this area. They're going to bop you as they themselves line of sight, and you'll just keep pumping. Keep going, keep going, keep going. On the second disrupting shot, you lip. Alright, let's see if they do that in this video, okay? Let's watch the... Do we have the drill PV? This is the drill PV, okay? So you see they all got bopped. Disrupting shout soon. Look at that, lip. Lip. Does this one lip? Lip. Lip. And this one doesn't have lip because he lipped earlier, remember? Notice this paladin bubbles, I think. There's probably... Other casters would probably lip. I mean, this guy already did it. I think you already did lip on the first one, so we can't lip this one. So mages, notice how low the boss is by the time lip happens. Now, these guys are more geared than us, of course, but look at the health, right? Lip has run out, second shouts happen, boss is dead, alright? So in an ideal world, with really good damage, mages, you never need to line of sight, because you bop the first one, you lip the second one. Perfect, right? Now, that's not going to happen with us, probably, because of our damage, but keep that in mind. A perfect kill of this looks fucking clean. So mages, first mage gets threat. Now, KJ, it's up to you. I would prefer if you fuck off right away. You're only putting your own life at risk if you don't, but you need to make sure you catch the ignite and keep the ignite. It's up to your fellow mages to keep it up the whole time, alright? If these mages let you down, and the ignite falls off, for whatever reason, it's not hard. You just have to keep pressing one button, fireball, over and over again. Eventually, you'll have to press lip. That's your second button, and only button you have to press in this fight. Maybe dummy is a third, okay? So fireball, lip, and dummy are the only three buttons you really should have to press in this fight as a mage. This guy catches the ignite, runs away. These guys keep it up the whole fight. And it should be... The ignite should be massive by the time you have to line of sight. If the ignite falls off, if let's say third shout happens, and you guys have to line of sight, the ignite should be so big it doesn't matter anymore. You come back out, let's say Imaginitis picks up the ignite this time. Imaginitis' ignite's never going to catch the threat of KJ's, alright? It's never going to catch it, so it's fine. In an ideal world, KJ's ignite's up for the whole fight. In a secondary ideal world, it's up for 80% of the fight. It doesn't matter. Okay? So that's the mages. Like I said, melee, you'll be ready to dummy the second that the heartbeat happens. You should be targeting the boss. The boss has target of target. You need target of target. When you see the boss stop targeting an understudy, you drop a dummy. There is no reason for the boss to stop targeting an understudy. He might swap to a different understudy. He might start targeting me. But he will never, ever swap off an understudy once the fight started. If he does, it means he's charging the mage. He will always charge the mage if we do this correctly. So, if you see him target something that isn't an understudy, you just drop a dummy. It's that simple. He'll start killing the dummies. You back away. You don't stand next to him. You don't keep damaging. You don't drop a dummy and then fucking backstab or bloodthirst. You drop a dummy, then you back away 10 feet, and you just wait until the priests handle it. There's nothing you can do anymore. You're buying the priest time, but that's it. Okay? Now, mages, hunters, and warlocks, again, you're the same. You're just doing less than the mages have to do, right? Because you have to line of sight a bit more. But hunters, warlocks, you'll be dodging each time. If the boss gets past the melee, casters, that's your time to drop the dummies. Same rule as the melee. You drop a dummy, then you back 10 yards the fuck up, okay? If he gets past you, casters, if he gets past you, let him go, okay? What you need to do, if he gets past you, is focus on dodging the shout, okay? If you're standing here, and he shouts when he's standing here, you're going to get hit by it, right? You can line here. You can line here, 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 but you can't line here if the boss is here, okay? When the boss is running up this ramp, there are very few safe spots, okay? If the boss is standing right here and he shouts, there's like 2 safe spots, right? Behind these corners, that's it. And the reason that this corner is safer on the right side is because he could be here. And this corner is safe no matter where he is, alright? This corner isn't safe if he's here. But this corner is. So this is the safe side. I would prefer if you go this way. If he's loose, okay? Which shouldn't happen most of the time. Alright. Mana users, as always, like I said, with the armor, you need to keep that mana low. Take a lot less damage based on your mana. If I bring up, again, this video, you notice what happens here in this video, which is unfortunate, is that their mind control priest gets aggro. I believe, I'm not quite sure why this is, we've discussed it a little bit, but I believe it has something to do with threat copying from the ad to the boss. Again, I'm just not quite sure. But dummies would have saved him, would have kept him alive. It's very unfortunate. This shouldn't happen anyway because I'll be going in with Sinister Strike. I'll be trying to get threat on the boss with evasion on pull. So if this does break, instead of going for the priest, it should go to me, provided I have done some damage. And what you'll notice is, yeah, see the damage done? It's attributing Den XD, it's attributing the auto attacks from the understudy to his damage meter, alright? So he's not sitting here casting fucking smite. This is auto attacks from the understudy. And for whatever reason, the understudy's threat gets copied onto the priest. I don't know why. But anyway, he dies. They all panic, they're all sprinting away, they're all losing their mind. They do get the boss back in a position here, using, I believe it's square. So someone mind controls square and gets the boss back in a position, which is good. But the mob's already dead. I mean, look how low the mob is. They didn't use shield wall. Look how low it gets. Right? So this is the mob's health. Look how fast it dies. That was Unbalancing Strike, okay? So the boss has 2 things. He has auto attacks and he has Unbalancing Strike. Unbalancing Strike is going to near one-shot these things, okay? So you see, look at its health. 1, 2, Unbalancing Strike, 3, now he's pressed shield wall. It's too late. The taunt happened, the shield wall didn't. That's why this mob gets so low. Now, it's not the end of the world. You can heal it, healers, and you should be healing this mob. If it ever gets really low, you should be keeping it just above 0, right? Doesn't need to be full health, just keep it above 0. But priests, you really need to make sure. And here's what happens. Here's what goes wrong. Look at the shout, okay? Look at all the people who have too much mana. This mage, this priest, this priest, this priest, this paladin, this hunter, this hunter, this hunter, alright? Too many people with too high mana. I don't know why they have so much mana right now. It doesn't make sense, okay? And even if they had too much mana, they should be lipping the first, other than the mages who have bops for the first one. If you want to sit out here as a paladin, or as a warlock, or as a hunter, and you don't want to line of sight the first shout, you need to have something else. You need to have bubble, fucking petri, fucking lip, I don't care what it is, light a balloon, but you cannot just eat it with full mana, because look what happens. These priests get absolutely smacked, these paladins get smacked. Notice this guy has 10,000 health and full mana, and he only gets hit for 2,500, right? So paladins, not really that dangerous. Mages, however, 8,000 health, full mana, almost dead, alright? Armor is important. Armor is very important, so keep that in mind. What they really need to do now is reset. And just run. At this point, the problem with this is that their mage hasn't generated enough threat. So top threat should be a mage, but it's not. You notice no life. Great, there's a fucking car alarm. No Life has top threat, so it should run to them after the understudy dies or gets or runs out of taunt. But what happens is bang, Square actually heartbeats, I believe. So it's really unfortunate for them because you'll notice that Skull heartbeat on pull, and then Square immediately heartbeat after, right? So Skull's tanking, Skull heartbeat, right here, kill, right? So X would be the next taunt. This should be the X taunt, but it's not. They get Square for whatever reason. It's a panic, but Square gets it, and then boom, Square heartbeats now. All right, so Square heartbeat. All the taunt ran out, but I don't think it did, right? Let's look at his debuffs, all right? It could have been the taunt running out. Right, so 5, 4, can't quite see it. It's hard to say. Dummies are going out when they shouldn't. This is the problem with this, is that there are dummies going out. There's a taunt with 7 seconds on it. There shouldn't be any dummies. This boss is under control right now. But you'll notice that the boss starts targeting dummies. He starts targeting the mage, which is the heartbeat. I assume this is the heartbeat because it wasn't 7 seconds. Square heartbeats, dummies go down. At this point you can't really save it because you've had 2 heartbeats really early and you just don't have enough understudies left. You don't have enough taunts left to keep this boss stable. And the raid's a mess right now. Like, there's no one with mana, the bops are all fucking wrong. It's just not good, alright? So there are circumstances like this where, just like what happened to us, you can have instant heartbeat into another heartbeat into another fucking heartbeat. It can just happen. And if it does happen, you need to be ready for it, okay? So that's Razuvious. That's the rundown, basically. All this footage is in the Diagrams and Resources channel, and you can always ask me as well. But everyone should know what they're doing now. Alright, the melee, the hunters, the tanks, the priests, the mages, the healers, the paladins, the bubbles. Everything should be understood. The dummies. You should only have a couple of jobs in this fight, and you just have to do them right. It's very simple, okay? But thank you.